It all began back in January when my professor gave us all pets to take care of for the semester. Of course, those pets were pet plants. So I took my seeds and went out to my mom's pergola and planted those bad boys. It took a couple of weeks for my plant to germinate. In fact, I'd even call it a late bloomer. But the little guy eventually pulled through. We grew him directly in the sunlight. We grew him in the kitchen where the sun was kind of shining. And we grew him near the windowsill, hoping that the aluminum would transfer the UV rays over to him. It eventually became time for the first plant checkup. And when I was looking at everyone else's plants, mine was small compared to everyone else's already mature plants. They were pretty huge compared to what I had. I brought this to the attention of my professor, and he found the size to be a bit concerning. So his advice was to give the plant less water than it was getting, and to make sure that the plant got more sunlight. I took his advice a little bit too seriously. So I put the plant underneath a heat lamp, and not much progress was made. And then my mom decided to repot the little sprout, all of its seeds, into like three separate pots. The plant was pronounced dead after it drowned in hydrogen peroxide. I later told my professor what had happened with the plant, and he was really gracious enough to give me new cucumber seeds to start a new beginning. The new plan was to let the plant grow outside in the outdoors with the sprinkler systems coming on every day at 4 a.m. And I must say, this plant really amazed me. Within the first week, the plant had germinated, and within the second week, 2 little sproutlets came up. A cold front even hit Central Florida, and everything seemed to be just fine for the plant. By the time the next checkup came along, my 3-stemmed cucumber plant looked pretty healthy for its age. I mean, my cucumber plant wasn't as big or as impressive as some of the other cucumber plants in the classroom, but my plant was happy and healthy, and that's all that mattered. The instructor was pretty impressed with the progress made. He was nice enough to repot it due to the plant's ever-growing size. After class, the cucumber plant was put in its usual spot in the garden. In an ideal world, there would be more plant checkups in the future, but global events seem to beg to differ. But hey, we can just roll with it. Even in the quarantine, the plant continued to grow, with leaves and flowers growing. It seemed like everything was okay. But wait a minute. That's problematic. I mean, it's just one leaf. It can't be that concerned. Wow, that's a major red flag. All good things must come to an end. The once healthy-looking plant looked sickly and looked like it was ready to die. When looking at the root structure of the cucumber plant, the roots seemed to be growing out of the pot, which was concerning. The roots looked like little earthworms crawling around underneath. We repotted the plant one last time. This is where the cucumber plant was last planted. This is the cucumber plant's resting place. Probably the most asinine decision made was repotting all the seeds into one individual pot. It was very evident that the seeds needed friends to grow alongside with. I also think that I overcared for the plant too much. I gave it more heat than it needed, and I gave it way too much water. I think I strangled the poor plant with my love and affection. The smart decision made with the second cucumber plant was letting it grow in a natural setting. The plant got an adequate amount of water and the proper amount of sunlight needed in order to grow into the happy, healthy plant that it was. The eventual death of the plant was a result of my pride. The plant wasn't repotted in time. This resulted in the plant suffocating and then eventually dying. One of the major questions I had when leaving this assignment was, when is the proper time to repot the plant? When the pot is huge. Regarding my biology class, it was really interesting seeing the growth and development of a human compared with the growth and development of a plant. Growing up, I kind of viewed plants as like those things my mom took care of and thought it was kind of pointless. I mean, I always knew that plants were living, breathing creatures, but to be honest here, I didn't much care about this until it came to raising my own pet plants. Raising a pet plant made me realize that, like all creatures, plants need love, community, and care.